But first, Dubuque's water supply is raising red flags. A new report shows a high level of forever chemicals, which can cause health problems. Iowa's News Now reporter Faven Zodu tells us what the city is doing to keep the water supply safe.
A new report shows that Dubuque's drinking water supply has levels of PFAS chemicals, commonly known as forever chemicals, that exceed the federal limit. These chemicals are harmful and can cause health effects if consumed. Stephnie Schmitz has lived in Dubuque for more than 2 decades and says the water quality has gone down through the years.
It definitely tastes different.
Dubuque's water department manager says the city was first made aware of the presence of PFAS chemicals in 2022, after the Iowa Department of Natural Resources tested the water as part of the state's PFAS action plan.
2 of our shallow wells and our finished water had contained trace amounts of 3 of the 25 PFAS compounds that were tested. Essentially, what we did immediately was we took those wells out of service. Those shallow wells was the first step that we did immediately.
After that, the city did periodic checks to see the water quality and found that of the 9 wells used for drinking water supply, 5 of the shallow wells showed presence of PFAS chemicals, and 4 of the deep wells had minimal to no sign of these chemicals. But the city still uses the shallow wells. Lester says it's during the months when water demand is high.
During the hot months, during the summertime, where if there's no rain or if the consumption is quite high, and we have to supplement with our shallow wells, we're normally able to keep the PFAS levels in the finished water below the EPA thresholds.
PFAS chemicals are linked to health issues, including developmental defects in children and cancer. And while the effects are linked to the amount of exposure to these chemicals, Schmitz says she tries to minimize her and her family's exposure.
So I know that Dubuque's water used to be like top 10 rated in the nation, but I know in recent years that's kind of slipped off of there. I'm not really sure why, but we use reverse osmosis in our home to hopefully combat that.
The city is also planning to improve their current wells to meet demands as well as provide clean water.
A popular option is to advance a new deep well, essentially, and that would kind of bolster our blending strategy, essentially, to where we would meet the demand with our deep wells, which would keep us below that regulatory threshold. We're looking at upwards of $5 million plus for to advance a new deep well.
But for the time being, Lester wants to remind folks they are actively working to improve the water quality.
I would definitely assure customers, residents of Dubuque, that we are being very proactive. We are looking to have our remediation efforts done well ahead of the 2031 deadline that's established by the EPA to have these remediation efforts in place.
In Dubuque, Faven Zodu, Iowa's News Now.
The Environmental Protection Agency says the side effects are dependent on the amount and duration of exposure to these chemicals. We have more information about the EPA's regulations on our website at iowasnewsnow.com.